Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Welcome to today's last trading day of April. Today's the 30th of April 2019. Welcome everyone. As always, quick look at the markets, what's happening with them, what to expect from them. Potentially, of course. Before we do that, before we jump into the charts, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation. It should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here very quickly is the German DAX. Now, German DAX here, it continues to trade here below this key area of resistance that I was talking about in one of my videos. This 12,350 level approximately here. We're still looking at that one. Basically, in order to consider higher levels, we need to see a nice, good, strong push, and especially a close of at least of a 4-hour candle above this level, above the 12,350, in order to kind of, let's say, aim for much higher levels like the 12,460, which was the near the highs of September here. But again, further acceleration to the upside could bring it further up towards the highs of August. So this level right here near the 12,596, something like that, approximately there. So of course, before we can consider these higher levels, we need to see that nice good push above the 12,350. Looking at the cash index right now, DAX is sliding a little bit lower, and it's probably going to be a lower opening here, and it's going to be somewhere around the 308 zone. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on it. Because as you can see, the index is still above this little downside resistance line. Of course, not to mention this short, medium-term upside support line as well. But this long-term downside resistance line still is kind of in play here. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on it. Even if we see a drop below this, for us to start considering lower areas, we would like to see a nice good push below the 12,190 zone around here, and then we will target this this area near the psychological 12,000 zone. So we're going to go step by step, see how it's performing. For now, of course, looking at this picture, we are somewhat more bullish than bearish, but again, let's see if actually the index wants to retrace back down or not. So also keep your eyes on today's data, German unemployment figures, so they're coming out in a few hours. So yep, keep your eyes on those. And but that's what's in regards to the DAX. So for now, the big question here is, will it manage to break above the 12,350? If it does, then we will consider higher levels like the 12,460 or even higher. But for now, let's see what it wants to do around here. For now, we're going to remain somewhat, like I said, somewhat bullish. But again, we're gonna wait for that confirmation break. Ethereum, very quickly, I've talked about this one yesterday, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this 150 level, which continues to act as a very nice psychological level here for Ethereum. And you can see that it managed to rebound back to the upside. Of course, it did have a small undershoot here, but quickly got back in. The bulls kind of got back into the game, and now it seems that it's trying to push higher. That said, before we can consider slightly higher levels, we need to see that nice good push above the 158 zone, this one right here. and only then we will consider at least some higher levels around the 168 zone approximately here, which is also not far from this little tentative downside resistance line taken from the high of April. So the highest point of April here, this downside resistance line, yep, could be a nice touch if we see a push above this above the 158 zone. So for now, stay sharp, be very careful, probably remain neutral, and just let's wait for that confirmation break. In terms of the downside, of course, the 150 level, that's what we're going to be keeping a close eye on still. So a nice good drop below this again could lead the crypto towards the 145 zone, but a break below that, yep, that's where it could turn out to be quite ugly for Ethereum, as we could see further slide lower here. Initially, of course, aiming maybe towards these little lows here near the 139, but to be honest, the slightly better area of support here is here near the 130 zone. So that's why, guys, for now we're going to remain somewhat neutral here and continue observing these key potential key breakout zones. Jumping into gold, and yesterday we saw gold sliding the second half of the day, and that was mainly due to the personal spending, the U.S. personal spending numbers that came out, quite good, let's put it that way, and we saw gold sliding on that, but you can see that the bulls are picking up the pace. The big question, are they gonna manage to push this one higher? Now from where it is right now and looking at this picture, for us, probably we'll try to play a more cautious game here and basically wait for a push above this little area here near the yesterday's highs. Oh, sorry, Friday's highs, which were near the 1289 zone, so just maybe slightly below that, 1288.80, something like that. And keep your eyes on this one, because this way, if we do see a nice good push above this could also test the 200 EMA, and if we see a push above the 200 EMA, now this is where it could be seen as a nice positive signal for more bulls to jump in, potentially, of course, and maybe drive this one a little bit higher. Now, that said, the upside could be still limited due to this downside resistance line that we got here, taken from the highest point of February. So keep your eyes on this one, be very cautious around it. We could see a further push higher. We could see a test here of this downside resistance line, but again, before we can consider higher levels, for us, we will take a more cautious approach here and wait for a push above the 1289 zone first, and then aim for higher levels like the 1295 or even the same psychological 1300 level. But again, like I said, keep your eyes on this downside resistance line as well. So for now, be very careful with this. In terms of the downside, of course, this, if it fails to travel towards the 1289 zone, well, I mean, this could be quickly picked up by the bears again, and we may see a slide lower here. So from the very short-term perspective, what you could do here is, of course, we're keeping a close eye on this 1276 zone approximately there, but from the very short-term perspective, you could in a way keep your eyes on this little low that we saw here yesterday, and that was approximately near the 1278 zone, something like that. So basically, drop below this could open the path to back down here towards the, of course, the 1276, and even lower towards this long-term, or should I say more of a medium-term upside support line taken from the lowest point of August. So could be a nice test of it again. You can see that on 23rd of April it tried to push lower, tried to test that line. We kind of failed to do that, so that's why it could be another test if we see a drop below the 1278 zone. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Jumping into DXY very quickly, so yesterday I was talking about this one, and basically it's now pushing below this steep upside support line here. Yesterday it sold off, and it continues to travel lower. This is our level that we were talking about, that I was talking about yesterday, the 97.85. You can see that it broke below it, and now it's trying to push back above it. So basically it's going to be probably a bit of a roller coaster here. Now for now, looking at this picture, we are slightly more on the bearish side. We could see maybe further declines here, at least towards the 97.52, something like that here, marked by the highs of the 2nd of April. But again, in order to consider higher levels, now what you could do, of course, is to draw this little tentative downside resistance line here, and basically if we see a nice good break above it, we may see a further push higher. But then again, be very careful, because this is a bit of a tentative line, so don't focus on it too much. For us now, we would like to see a push above the 98.10 level, which is this little peak here. Let me just quickly put that on the chart. This little high here, the 98.10, which was the high of yesterday. And basically if we do see a nice good push above this, there could be more chances for DXY to travel back up here to test the 98.33 zone, or even actually break it and push further up. But for now, it is where it is. For now, in terms of the upside, keep your eyes on this 98.10, which was the yesterday's high. A nice good pop above this could open the path back up here. But if it continues to trade around here, but to be honest, there could be more chances for this one to travel lower. Jumping into USDJPY, and this is what's happening here. So you can see that the dollar is on the weaker side here. Yesterday, when I was talking about this one in one of my videos, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this little level here, the 111.85. You can see that it did try to push higher, but kind of quickly failed and dropped down, and now it's currently sitting near its 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. So of course, all this is now looking quite negative for the USDJPY, but for a better confirmation of the downside, we would like to see a nice good clean drop below the 111.40 zone. So ideally, we'd like to see maybe a 4-hour candle closing below this, and then we could potentially target the 111.25, or even actually go further down. And further down, we do have the 110.80 zone, which was marked here by the low of the 10th of April. Now, so basically in terms of USDJPY, for now, keep your eyes on this key area of support here near the 111.40. If we continue seeing further pushes lower here, a break below the 111.40 could open the path towards further declines. So keep your eyes on this one. In terms of the upside here, from the very short-term perspective, of course, we would like to see a nice good push back above the 111.85. This way, we could at least target this 112.15. A break of which could confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could then target much higher levels. But for now, it is where it is. It is kind of pushing lower, so it seems that the upside could be slightly off the table. The last pair for this video, euro dollar. Now, I was talking about this one yesterday as well, so I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this level right here, the 1.1175, and also this little tentative upside support line that acted out as a very nice area of resistance. So you can see that how well it traveled above the 1.1175, but hit the upside this upside support line from underneath, and now kind of pushed back down towards the 1.1175. So this is basically stuck here, and we're going to be waiting for the next big move. We do have some data coming out especially from Germany, and later on we do have the EU GDP flash figures. So keep your eyes on those one, guys. Probably wait for the data. Let's see how this is going to react to it. Don't try to predict. Let's see, like I said, let's react to it. Let's if it does push above the 1.1190 zone, then this is good news for the bulls. We could see further acceleration here to the upside towards the 1.1205 and the 1.1228 zone, which was last week acted as a very interesting point here. So this 1.1228 area approximately there could be a nice target if we see a push above the 1.1190. If this drops below the 1.1175 then and starts pushing below the pivot, today's pivot, which is around the 1.1170, then yep, we could potentially consider this 1.1120 zone again, but for now let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's wait for the data, and yep, let's react on it, and don't try to kind of predict it where it could go further, or I mean, we do that on a daily basis, but just probably when we do have data coming out, just try to react on it, and don't try to kind of beat the game here. So now, for now, guys, again, keep your eyes on this level here, the 1.1175. Keep your eyes on this one. Let's see how this is going to perform. If we see further drop lower, then yep, we could see a potential move towards the 1.1120. But if it pushes above this upside support line, then yep, we could consider the 1.1228 zone again. So I hope you found it useful, guys. Thank you very much for sticking around. I'll have to wrap it up here. If you want to join me later on at my Traders Tea Time, and that's 13:15 GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day. Be very careful, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.